Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 31 Media podcast. My name is Vaishnavi Nashte. I'm the marketing and PR manager here at 31 Media. Today, we have the pleasure of talking to Isabel Palmer, who's currently the Director of Engineering and Transformation for EMS UK at Experian. And she's also on the judging panel for the Testing Awards for this year, 2024. She has over 25 years of experience in IT, especially in the testing domain, where she has delivered successful testing transformation across various industries, including fintech, retail, supply chain, insurance, amongst many others. We are so glad to have you here today, Isabel. How are you?
I'm very well, and thank you so much, Vaishnavi, for that wonderful introduction. I feel a little pressure now, but I will do my best.
Don't worry, you'll be great. I'm pretty sure your experience speaks for you anyway. But
Thank
let's start off with the most basic question. Why are you passionate about transformation and testing?
Yeah, that's a great question because I did think about it. I was thinking about this everything, and it's something that's inside my heart. Um, so really, my passion for testing and transformation stems from really about me being a curious person, right? So
Mm,
the testing as an activity is very stimulating, right? It's mentally, intellectually stimulating in that it involves problem solving,
yeah.
the challenges of actually finding and weaving through what potential items or issues that are lurking within a product or application that is there. That's actually very challenging for me. And also, I would like to be able to find that and to be able to build something around that so that we can actually find it with my team. And there's another part is about innovation. So with a lot of changes, with a lot of products, etc., we always think that there's a tool for that, and there's another tool for that, another technology for that. But actually, one size do not fit all. Sometimes the scenarios are very different, and so that with innovation, you're looking at new methodologies, new technologies, new thinking, all of that. And as a part of that, then you have this learning and development that you are also already embracing as a part of it. Because what's happening really is that there's a dynamic nature in testing that evolves for someone to think about how you might be able to uh,
Mm,
pivot from where you are until a specific point. And then sort of wrapped around that is the continuous improvement. And with the continuous improvement, everything is changing. This is the most constant thing in our life. And being part of that change and making an impact as you're going on with that change is such a great thing, because this not only directly contributes to your personal growth, my own personal growth, but also to my clients, to also a team. I have a young team, and they're really learning around all of these continuous improvements. And also, it promotes a very positive and very positive experience, not only for our internal team, but also, of course, when you have their clients.
yeah, I think I completely agree with you because when it comes to like the professional side of our life, it's so important to find something that actually fulfills you and where you're able to create that difference, make an impact on your client's life or other businesses. So yeah, kudos on that. I'm curious, like,
Absolutely.
how did you come to know about the testing awards and how long have you been a part of the judging panel?
All right, yeah, another great question. So, I came to know about the testing awards years back when I was doing some work as a partner consulting with another client. I don't
Mm,
know if I can mention the client here. I will not mention it at the moment, right? So, anyway, in that client, about 6 years or 7 years back, they had an amazing innovation, right?
yeah.
They already built a great team. They had amazing, wonderful test managers, and the company was really great because they wanted to recognize their employees, right? They wanted to celebrate all the journey that their teams have had. So they were looking for a way to be able to recognize that, not only internally, because also externally, because they recognize that recognizing that internally will also give a signal to all of their competitors, to all of their clients, that they are actually in the forefront of innovation, not only for development, but also for
Mm-hmm.
testing. So that's the first time, about a few years back. And then in 2020, I was working with a partner within Experian, and then he came over to me and said, "Isabel, I think this merits such a great contribution and a great submission. Why don't we bring it together?" So I partnered with our partner, and then we submitted the actual we submitted a an application for our innovation. It was for the best innovation in functional testing, and it went through the finalists. And I
Wow.
was so, it was really quite it was really quite an important experience for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, amazing. And how did you end up being on the judging panel? Like how did that journey take about?
Yeah, so the judging panel took about because, of course, I was already producing a lot of information about what we have done, what we have created, what we have collected. But also, I
Mm.
have also created a lot of profile in my own page, right? This could be, in my social page, in my LinkedIn page, indicating what are the sort of elements that I've actually learned and giving
Yeah.
really an insight into my story so far. So that's
Yeah.
really how I came about the test, and that was noticed. That's why for everyone out there, I think it's great to tell your story because our story is our own IP, and everybody can learn from that story. So that's really how I came about. So someone from the European Testing Awards approached me and said, Isabel, we think you would be great if you will be
Mm.
part of the panel of
Hmm.
judges. And we looked at your experience, and I had a brief conversation, another conversation, and I just said yes. Finally, I said
Yeah.
yes.
Amazing, amazing. And then you've already mentioned that it's so important to enter into these awards. It actually brings me to the next question, that why is it important to enter into these awards and how do you think it even benefits the participants in the first place?
Oh, fantastic question, right? Because I'm really pro into getting awards, getting into the competition, regardless.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what happens, right? So from myself, from a standpoint of from a personal or a team perspective, right? Being nominated, right, or be presenting or being nominated for these recognition awards provide like an external validation, right? So for the
Mm.
teams, companies' innovation, even for the
Mm-hmm.
hard work individuals, right? And
Mm-hmm.
also you talked about brand. From a brand perspective, it gives a spotlight to the company, right? So
Yeah.
it gives us the visibility of what you are trailblazing, what you probably as an innovation, you could be a game changer, and there are
Mm-hmm.
numerous opportunities that actually there are numerous opportunities that it actually opens because you're actually
Mm-hmm.
bringing in that brand. It creates a networking, and people come over and ask you. And sometimes these are cold questions, and then also from a benchmarking perspective, right? The process of applying for awards often involves a thorough review of why why your submission merits a recognition, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
gives an understanding of where the innovation stands in comparison with your competitors, and also in comparison with what's out in the market, and potentially it will also give the company an idea of what's going to happen in the future, because all of these innovation awards, especially with in testing awards, you've got best innovation in functional testing, best
Yeah.
innovation in functional testing, and you will in non-functional testing, or best innovation in finance and so on. That
Mm-hmm.
actually gives an insight of what's about to happen, because a lot of the you have a whole wider pool of people, or wider pool of companies doing some tests utilizing new technologies or new thinking as it happens.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. And since you've been on the judging panel, I'm sure you must have come across hundreds of entries, right? Has there been like a particular project that has caught your eye or has really impressed you? And sure, like, the entire process of judging, like, obviously the judges are not aware of what company they're actually judging. But is there any project that comes to your mind?
Yeah, so it's not necessarily a project that because you have to remember a
Yeah.
lot of the judging are very what's the word? It's actually, you don't know, you're blindly judging, right?
Yes. Yes.
They will come across, you will come across that this is the objective, this is one that they
Mm.
want to get to. But I think for me, instead of the project, what stood out for me, I would like to talk about the ones that I had last year. What stood out
Mm-hmm.
for me was an award for the testing newcomer of the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's something that stood out to me, and that stood out to me because I'm not sure if it's the first time, maybe it's every year, but because it's the first time for me to judge. But what stood out to me was that the submissions for this person to be recognized was actually submitted by their team or their company, by their colleague, and it's really
Yeah.
almost a celebration of the contribution of
Mm.
their colleagues' work or of their team's work, and it's a wonderful thing, I think, to be recognized. And
Mm.
also the submissions for that particular award was very diverse. There were submissions from a lot of people who are coming back from either their maternity leave or coming
Yeah.
back or having not worked for a while. For instance, like some fathers or mothers who would like to go back into to a new career in testing. They've done all of
Yeah.
the courses, you know, all of that, and then some of them actually are changing their careers, and it was
Mm.
wonderful to see that they can see a career. And also it kind of touches your, I mean, in my heart, I thought, oh, it kind of
Yeah.
takes me back when I was starting and I was trying to understand where I would go and what trajectory that I would take. And it took me back to the time where I felt that it was great when there's your contribution is actually presented back to the team. And then there was a really great winner last year from the Testing Newcomer Award. I think his name was Steve Platten, but he wrote so
Mm.
many articles. He was really into it. So yeah, so it was really that was really what stood out to me. Not just because the projects, all the projects were very
Mm.
amazing. In fact, we had like some kind of deliberation and
Mm.
discussion around the projects because some of them were really equally amazing, very good. But to me,
Mm.
it's the human aspect that kind of like touches my heart
Yeah.
really, stood out to me, and it's I still remember it to this day. It was a very good model as well for young newcomers coming in. You
Yeah.
know, just get yourself out there. Don't worry about the future because it will take care of itself when you're putting in your effort
Yeah.
and also time.
Yeah, it almost seems like the awards platform, it's actually like a platform for you to not just network, but also get to know like what are the projects that are actually doing well out there, and to actually keep up with the trends and how people are actually using the technologies to build something that creates an impact, isn't it?
Absolutely. Last year, there were quite a few awards or solutions that were already
Yeah.
looking at AI, for instance, right? You know,
Yes.
it's a sudden burst last November about is it November? Something along the lines. But like Gen AI, you know, but you know, in fact, in testing, a lot of solutions are already being developed using AI, using
Yes.
NLP, using ML.
Mm.
So it's great that when you present an award, it brings it all back to life.
Yeah. Amazing. And from your experience, what do you think makes an entry like the award-winning entry? What sets them apart?
Another great question. I really like this because it's a good tip for everybody out there who's who will be listening to
Yeah.
this podcast. So, what makes a good entry, right? So, I'm gonna put a little bit of a structure. First of all, you must. I would advise you must clearly articulate your objective, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
need to put in there concrete, measurable outcome because you have to remember there's an audience there who's gonna read it, listen to it, and so on, right? And you need to like also give the story of how what metrics you actually provided or you developed in order to measure the impact that your
Mm-hmm.
innovation or your best had come to. So it could be in testing, it could be defect rates, it could be change, it could be how it affected the culture. All of those things are
Yeah.
coming into place. Then the other element will be presentation. It is
Mm-hmm.
important to give some kind of clarity and conciseness into the entry. Again, you know, we you know within testing there's a lot of entries and it's kind of narrowed down into what is the entry, how is it related to the alignment of the award criteria, how did it impact your company, how did it impact its business value. All of
Yeah.
those are actually there. And then also I think sometimes when we I encountered this before, you know, when you enter a competition you have a lot of story to tell, right? But I think it's
Mm-hmm.
important to really go to each individual question and make sure
Yeah.
that you actually address each of the questions to the requirements, right? Because it's important to be able to see, to understand that there's an audience trying to understand what that story is and what it's going to end up with and what you're looking for in terms of the outcome, right?
Mm-hmm.
The business value I've talked about, we all do testing because there's a value contribution to the business. We don't do it on our own just because we wanted to do something new, but it's really about what value creation that you have actually can you provide. And then
Yeah.
also you need to also show so be able to show the challenge of the solution. I love those entries where it great, and when it's presented a story of how the team worked together, how the challenges that they faced, they thought it was a great solution, and then afterwards it was
Mm,
not a great solution. After all, they have to pivot into something else, and then so it's
yeah.
really great to actually show how you've overcome them, because it demonstrates the resilience and the resolve to actually get to the solution. And then finally, if you bring this all together, really, it's really about and psycho communication is the what, the why, how you've actually executed
Mm,
it, and what happened next after that, right? So
mm-hmm.
it's never that really.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you for that insight. One last question for you. If there's anybody watching this video right now thinking that, something's holding them back from maybe putting an entry through for the testing awards, what are some tips that you'd give them to sort of build their entry or, help them sort of, make that entry in itself? What would that tip be for you?
So just some tips, right? So I think if you are thinking about presenting an idea, every idea is a great idea. That's what I learned, right?
Yeah.
Don't hesitate, don't judge your idea already, because you might find that someone else has a different view about your idea, right? When
Mm,
your team says, look, it's a great idea, bring it
mm,
over. But when you actually present it over, you need to have a clear and defined objective, right? You need to indicate, and then the same thing, articulate, establish what is your objective. Why do you want to communicate it? What is it that you want to communicate? That's the first thing. And then also that allows all of the that allows you again to dissect whether you are missing some elements within your with your submission. So don't
yeah.
fear, just go for it. Don't worry about it, because what happens is that when, especially for the testing awards, it gives you sort of an outline of what are the sort of elements it's looking for, right?
Mm,
Look for those
mm,
elements. You will find that in normally in a project it's actually always there. It's really about articulating all of that and being able to make sure that your audience is able to understand it.
mhm. Amazing. Thank you so much. I think this podcast has been like so much like invaluable tips have been provided in this podcast. So thank you so much for sharing your experience. And yeah, I hope to see you at the awards night as well.
Yes, I hope to see you too. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. This is great. I really much appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No worries. And everybody, the award entries close on October 9th. So make sure that you have put in your entry before that. Okay, perfect.